No.
And did you ever get any money from Maya Lansky?
I never got money from any of those fellas.
None of those
None
fellas?
of those fellas. None of these that I've been reading about, or none that I knew. They never gave me anything.
None of the Shetties?
No. I don't even speak to it. I mean, I met that Charlie once or twice. I don't even talk to him.
You don't like him?
No.
Night Court with Joe Lanou, live on X.
Also known as Duck Corella.
I refuse to answer on the grounds of made intent to
You
criminal.
got any business?
I refuse to answer on the grounds of intent to criminal.
You have any profession?
Welcome, folks. Welcome to the Smoke Show, our Sunday night show on Good Eats. We've got Jason with 3D Response Systems with us tonight. We've got Big Ron, Bruce Wayne, and James, all three co-hosts with the Night Court show. Tonight, we've got a single entry, and I had it advertised as a Tomahawk Ribeye, but that's not exactly what we did, is it, Jason? What do we wind up doing here?
Just for cost sake, I went with a cowboy steak, which is basically the same thing without the tomahawk handle on it. It's a ribeye, a bone-in ribeye.
Right, so it doesn't. You don't have to pay for that bone weight that you're not going to eat.
Correct.
Okay,
Same
that's
thing.
a wise choice with Bidenomics. I did notice that this one steak costs you $19. How would you feed a family of four?
Spend a lot more money.
Sure would. We can go with smaller grocery carts. This continues up because I can't afford to fill one up. So sure, but so you also did shrimp and bacon wrapped smoked shrimp with this, right?
Yep. I bacon wrapped shrimp with some barbecue sauce and the cowboy steak reverse seared, and it turned out really good.
All right, we're going to dig into that reverse sear. I have mixed opinions on that. But let's take a look at the video, guys. Let's see what he did. Okay, so we've got our ribeye. We got our meat church, of course. What do we have here on meat church? We got Holy Cow, Urban Garlic, right? And Blanco.
Yep, those three.
And that's what we got. We have steak. Now, you used cooked frozen shrimp. Is that right?
Yeah, it was veined and peeled. Just it's a quick little cook that tastes really good, and I didn't want to screw around with deveining and whatnot with the shrimp. But
my question is, is it a faster cook time, right?
Yeah, it also cooks quicker.
Okay. I'm not angry with any of that.
And it's important to go with, I went with extra large shrimp. The bigger the shrimp for this, the better, to wrap the bacon around it.
So the largest shrimp you can find.
Correct.
Okay, let's see how this goes. Now, what kind of bacon are we talking about here? Just a hickory smoked, not thick cut, just regular cut? Your average everyday bacon, right?
I actually tried to find the thinnest pack I could of bacon. But yeah, just hickory smoked, regular old bacon.
Something I've noticed with bacon, since we're talking about grocery stores, is that if you go for the bargain package of bacon, I didn't know they cut bacon that thin. I've done that a couple of times where the bacon was like, wow, you had to sharpen a knife to make that happen. So finding thin bacon shouldn't be a problem. So we're going to dry rub our steaks, or steak in this case, but steaks if you're cooking more than one, with Holy Cow and urban garlic, right?
Yep.
We're going to run this at 25. So we're We're going to smoke steak until the internal temperature is 115 degrees. So that's a little short from what you want to be done, right?
I want to finish it off on high heat.
So there it is, 116.7. That's off the grill. Or off the smoker. Now you're going to preheat the grill as hot as possible, right? So you want good hard heat on this. How long do you sear it again?
I did about probably 2 minutes each side, but
To desired texture, I guess, is what you do it. All right, so we're going to put our shrimp are thawed. Now, why do you slice the bacon down like that?
because I didn't want to overlap. If you use the whole piece on something that small, it'll take longer to cook. So I just wanted one little piece of bacon covering the shrimp and not have the bacon overlap each other.
Okay, so and then you put the meat church blanco on the prepared shrimp.
Yeah, just a light little dusting.
Brush it with your favorite barbecue sauce. Cook on a smoker for 225 degrees for 20 to 30 minutes. How does that bacon come out when you do it at that temperature at that time?
I actually ended up leaving in there a little bit longer than that. It was not quite done yet, so just kind of keep an eye on it and play it by sight.
To the texture and doneness you like your bacon, right?
Yeah.
Hang on. I want to back up and look at that finished shot there. Well, Jason, once again, it looks like a good meal. Of course, you can't taste it from the pictures. You could be an artist at staging photographs with food. I mean, I think it's a whole vocation out there. But, brother, I'd have to say that this looks pretty good. What was your reception in the house with it?
I sent you a picture, Joe. I cut the steak open to show you the final interior look of the steak. I took one bite of it, and then I gave one to my son, and this is a phenomenal meal. It's simple, it's easy, and the taste is insane.
Did you use any A1 sauce on that steak?
Hell no need.
Brother, it looks good. And once again, you're a master at putting together simply crafted meals that look like they're 3 Michelin star meals, to be quite honest with you. And that pains me to say that out here in the public like that. Range, I did see your DM, but brother, it's too late. I'm going to take your tri-tip smoked, and we're going to show that next week with Bruce Wayne's burgers that he's putting together. He put together today. I didn't have time to get the videos together, but I did see yours range-minded. So, what do we think about this one, guys? Big Ron?
Yeah, good job, Jason, as always. I haven't seen you post anything yet that doesn't look extremely good. I do agree with Joe. You do a very good job at positioning the food for the good food porn. I'm assuming that steak was medium rare.
I pulled it off at 125. I tinted it in foil and ate it at about 130. So it was. I can share a picture of when I cut it open, but it was 130 degrees. It was actually perfect.
Good. Glad to hear.
Let me ask you a couple of things there. I want to talk about the reverse sear, but tell me what's your purpose of tinting it versus just covering it?
I don't want it to continue to cook. If you wrap the aluminum foil around it, it's gonna. If you tint it, it's still gonna cook. But if you really airtight it, it's gonna cook even higher. So I didn't want, being that I took it off at 125, I didn't want it to go up to 135. I wanted to eat it at about 130. That's my own preference. I'm a medium rare guy, so I just lightly tint it just to let it kind of cool down, but at the same time, let the juice absorb in the meat, let the seasoning kind of absorb, and just let it come to rest. So that's why I do that. Unlike a brisket where you want it to continue to heat, or a rib where you wrap it really tight. With steaks, I typically just tint it.
Okay, not upset with the technique. So why the reverse sear? Because I've heard you talk about that a few times. That's your preferred method for cooking steaks. How did you get into reverse sear, and what is it about it that you like?
So, like I think like all of us, you're growing up and you cook a steak, you throw it on a gas grill, and you end up putting A1 sauce on it and all this other crap. And then I kind of graduated to charcoal grill, which I still love the chase of charcoal. I mean, sometimes you can't beat a steak on a charcoal grill. But then when I got into smoking, I had started to learn that if you can infuse the steak from raw with smoke first, and then bring it up to like 115 or so, and then char the outside of it afterwards, you just can't beat it. It's my favorite way to cook a steak. And every steak I have right now, if I go to a buddy's house and he's cooking steaks on the grill and it's on a gas grill, I'll just go home and make it myself, because like
Oh,
you
you're
look
that
at
guy. You're that
yeah,
guy.
I am that guy. It's a waste of meat. You cook it the right way, and in my opinion, reverse sear is the right way. I love a smoky taste in the meat, and the reverse sear is the best way to do it. Plus, the charring at the end of it, you get a really nice looking steak, and it tastes amazing.
I've never tried the reverse sear on smoking it. I've done it with oven. I've done it with sous vide, which thought that was going to work out. Was rather disappointed with both ways it turned out. I can get the sear on it, I just don't get the flavor in it. So I'm interested in what you're doing there with the smoke, because I think that might be a better way. But I've never had luck with reverse sear. What about you guys, Bruce? You ever reverse seared a steak? You have an opinion on it?
Yeah, I reverse sear most of my steaks. It's the way to do it, in my
Okay, well
opinion.
tell us your method.
It's pretty similar to how Jason does it. Just smoke it for a little bit, then sear it real hot, and pull it off, bring the grill up to temp, and then sear it.
Okay, so you prefer that as well?
I do, yeah. It gives the steak some time to get the smoke flavor in it.
Okay. Big Ron, how do you do it in Florida?
With the sun, and we usually have a gator do it for us. I don't really do too much reverse searing, to honestly tell you the truth. I'm a little bit more of a purist when it comes to that. I'll bring the grill up to about 500 degrees and straight up sear off each side, couple minutes, and then I'm done. Pull it off, medium rare. I've actually never done a smoked steak, to be honest. It's something on my bucket list, but normally the chunks of meat that I'm cooking that way are pretty big. The last Tomahawk I did came out real well that way. I think I did 3.5 or 4 minutes per side at 500 degrees with a butter melt on it, and it came out real good.
Yeah, that doesn't sound slouchy at all. Yeah, my way is I prefer a steak that's grilled over charcoal or wood, one of the two, not gas. But I'll take gas. I mean, I'm not going to leave my friend's house if they're cooking me steaks like some people might. But I put it on and get the sear first up, and then finish it out with temperature and pull it off. And I'm pretty happy with the way my steaks come out. I prefer me to cook my own steak than anyone else, and that's including a restaurant. But I think I'm gonna give this method here a shot. Probably won't be until after Christmas, the way things are going and the way my time is being sucked up. But this recipe will go on to my list of things I've got to try that Jason did. So I trust, but I got to verify that this tastes as good as it looks in these pictures, because I hadn't been able to sample any of it. But James, what do you think about reverse sear?
Well, as you guys know, I don't have a smoker yet, but just about every cut of meat I've ever cooked in my entire life, when I do it myself, is done in a very similar manner. I cook at low temperatures for a long time, and then when it gets close to done, I sear the hell out of it. And I prefer my meat closer to well done, but that's me. And I can also make sure that it still stays juicy, just like a medium rare cut. So that's just how I cook.
Sounds good. Have Have any of you ever tried to smoke on a vertical smoker where the fire's at the bottom, the product is directly over the fire, and the smoke evacuates out of the top?
I have not. The closest thing I've done is an old style Weber.
I have. I used to have one. It was an electric one where you put wood chips in from the side. I can't remember the name brand of it, but they do a good job. Um, you just can't sear anything on them, but it's basically it's a wood oven is what it is, and then you put your pot of water overneath the fire so you get moisture going throughout it. But it does a good job.
You have any trouble keeping the heat low enough to get an adequate smoke time on the meat?
No, the one I had, I think it was a master build. It was digital, so you could set the temperature and it would maintain that temperature. I've never done it with like my neighbor actually built one of those that ended up burning down, but he used real wood. It's all air ventilation that to maintain a temperature, either hot or cool. But
Well, I met a gentleman this weekend that says that he builds barrel smokers out of steel drums, and that he takes these to competition. He competition smokes brisket, chicken, pork butt, and other things, and claims to have won some accolades doing this. I've never been a fan of the heat directly under. I like my heat in a separate box somewhere else so I can control it. I have used not a barrel grill, but it was set up very similar to that when we were in New Orleans. The guy that we partnered up with had one, and the first brisket I smoked out there was that I went and bought a proper smoker. And we were able to do it. It just seemed like we had to watch it so closely so that we didn't get too much temperature on it. But this gentleman says that he can maintain a constant temperature in there for 9 hours. And he uses charcoal and then puts wood chips in on top of the charcoal. Let's take a look at. He sent me some pictures. This is what he builds. This is from a guy. He's on YouTube. It's called Barbecue Project is his channel. But let's check this out. So he takes the barrels, and that's what he makes his smoker out of. The lid pops open from the top, and you put your fire in the bottom. He's got a fire basket that he makes that you put your fire in, charcoal in, and light it, and then set it down into the smoker. Servicing the fire, I'm not sure about on this. But what do y'all think about that model?
Yeah, it looks all right.
it's basically, I know Pit Boss makes one. I think Weber makes one. It's kind of the same concept. But the difference with those is there's a firebox door on the bottom where you can maintain your fire and then close the door. So that would be, I don't know if he has a door on the bottom to add or take away heat to it, but
yeah, no door. Now it does have little vents at the bottom. You see them with white caps on them that you can open that up or shut it for controlling your airflow. He says if you can fill the basket with charcoal, it'll get you 9 hours of heat at 225.
so is he adding wood chips to it then?
Puts wood chips on top.
Okay.
And that's how he gets his smoke. And he goes to, and this is in Texas, folks. He goes to Texas barbecue competitions with this setup. He sells these, by the way. They're available for $600. I've got the gentleman's contact information. Anybody that's actually interested in it, they look good. Anyone's interested in it should shoot me a DM and I'll get you guys connected to him. But he's a fireman and he builds these part-time. Super nice guy. I spent a little time with him this weekend here at the Kingdom Ranch when we were doing a open house for installers and things like that. But I spent all day Saturday with him. Super nice guy. And at first I'm like rolling my eyes. I'm like, yeah, whatever, man. I don't want to hear what you got to say. And then the more he talked, he was getting my interest because it sounded like he knew what he was talking about. He talked about smoke rings, talked about competition barbecue smoking, brisket smoking. I saw some pictures. His product looks beautiful. And this is another picture that he sent me. Look at the paint job on that barrel smoker. And he can paint these and decorate these any way you want. And it's high temp paint. They're kind of impressive.
That's actually what I was just going to ask, is what kind of paint is he using on that? My biggest concern would be blistering and chipping, but if he's using high temp paint, then it's good for at least 550 degrees.
I'm not saying you won't have any deflection of the paint, maybe down low where the fire is, but he says these hold up. And I was looking at this picture when I put the quick little video together, and I'm like, well, he's got some cutting boards there, and I thought it was like his brand cutting boards, but they're not. They're actually prizes from competition. Look at that. And what do we have here? That is the 2024. I think it says riding competition, grand champion pork chop, and grand champion other meat. I'm not sure what the other meat is, but he showed me some chicken legs in a styrofoam. You know how they'll present them at these contests that looked super delicious. I could just feel the crispiness of the skin by looking at the picture. So this tells me that this guy is taking a barrel smoker with fire underneath, charcoal mainly. He likes to use cherry and apple, I believe, for his smokes. But he produces a product that'll win you some competitions.
It looks pretty good. I do like that paint job on that one smoker. This one. It looks pretty sweet.
Well, now, Bruce, you don't plug these in. You actually have to start a fire old-fashioned style. So I don't know that you would.
I'm not a
enjoy
fan
this.
of the charcoal. Like, I've never been a fan of charcoal or propane. But can he do full wood?
I think you can. He says that he doesn't. I think that's how he's able to put enough charcoal in to get a slow burn and maintain 225 degrees with some smoke coming off of it for enough time to smoke a brisket. I think that's what he does. And I did a little research on these. A lot of folks will hang the meat. I don't know how I feel about that. That may produce a bark better, maybe aid in some evaporation, but I also think it aids in you losing some juice out of it, in my
Well,
opinion.
now how does he open it up to spritz it?
With a lid. You just open the lid.
So where's it hanging? If it's is it hanging from the lid?
No, there's an apparatus inside just under the lid that you can. There are little bars where you can put a hook onto the meat and hang it, like chicken and poultry. I'm not necessarily against that, but here's my concern. I'm 4 hours in, and my fire dies or it fails to smoke, and I've got to tend to my fire. I've got to take my product out and then lean over into a barrel or pull this basket out and get it worked up. He assures me, though, that you put the proper charcoal and the proper wood content and amounts in the basket, that it's trouble free. And I did a little looking online. There's evidently a group of people out there that say the same thing about these type of smokers. That once you put you build the proper fire with the proper materials, that it's set. There's no more fire tending. It's gonna maintain its temperature and produce smoke for enough time to be able to smoke a brisket. So we're talking, 8 to 9 hours, which I find that interesting. But then again, I go back to the way I cook. There's a point there where I want to be able to crank the heat up. So at that point, well, I would have to. I'm going to have to take my meat off at that point to wrap it. So I guess at that time I could add more fuel to the fire, so to speak, and start getting a temperature.
Well, that was going to be my other thought, because like I'll bet like it probably works well, like you're saying, when you're in a comfortable temperature zone. But I wondered, does it still hold 225 if you're cooking in sub-zero temperatures, or it seems like you need a lot more fuel.
Well, the topic didn't pop up of sub-zero temperatures. We're probably talking about here in Texas.
When I used to smoke in Virginia Beach, when I was there, I had a moving blanket that I would use to wrap my chamber in to help maintain the heat inside the chamber. That's something you could probably do the same way. Wrap the outer chamber with a a blanket of some sort. Maybe use a ratchet strap to keep it on there, then lay something on top that would help maintain your internal temperature in colder weathers.
I believe they make actually insulating blankets for smokers for that. I think there's a product you can buy for it. Range Minded's asking, are they double walled? No, these are just steel drums that he converts into smokers. And he, you know what? I don't know if he uses traditional briquettes. He may use some of that the rough charcoal. I'm not sure
That's
exactly
what I
what he
prefer.
uses.
I prefer the
Mhm.
rough cut charcoal. That's with the
Well,
with the fresh chunks of wood in it.
Well, you know, our friend John Cox found Kingsford smoking charcoal that's supposed to just help you keep a fire maintained. And he used it and said it absolutely did exactly what it doesn't put off a lot of smoke. You don't have a charcoal taste. It's just a fuel to keep your wood smoldering. So yeah, Range. I'm not sure if he uses briquettes or rough cut charcoal, but charcoal nonetheless. And he puts wood on top of it for his smoke. And B says, I feel like I'd like cherry smoke, but haven't had opportunity to try it. My father-in-law uses that heavy, strong smoke I don't care for. What is she talking about? Heavy, strong smoke she doesn't care for? Are you talking about mesquite, B?
Probably mesquite.
I tell you what, we're gonna have to back down on these attacks, and I won't have any more attacks on the smoke show on my coveted preferred smoking wood, which is for beef, which is mesquite. These are unprovoked attacks.
Be glad to see you on the show. I hadn't seen your comment yet, so glad to see you made it in. I don't know if you made the show earlier. Joe could probably tell us what show number it was, but we did have a discussion on different types of woods to use depending on what you're cooking with to get those traditional flavors that you're looking for, and even mixing some of the woods to get those mixed flavors. So if you don't like the very heavy mesquite or even the hickory, there's other ways you can go depending on what you're cooking to pair the meat and pair the wood so that you get those better flavors that you're looking for.
No, that's true. And we've seen Vet do that. I believe it was the first episode, Big Ron, where we discussed that you could mix woods for a unique smoke flavor on meats.
I think I used cherry and was it cherry and apple I used on the cheesecake, or cherry and hickory? I think is what it was I used on the cheesecake.
I think it was cherry and hickory on the pellet smoker on the second attempt. The first attempt, I forget what you used. Cherry was one of them, and maybe apple was another.
I think you're right.
But I believe on the successful attempt, I think it was cherry and hickory pellets in your microwave smoker on your back porch.
I'm gonna have to try smoking with some white pine and cedar.
You won't be happy. You won't be happy with that. It has a very strong sap, and it's
Some of the best hot dogs I've ever smoked come from
that just didn't come out
tree.
right.
It came from a pine tree.
Yeah, when you're out camping, you cut down what there is. You don't camp. You don't hike in wood 20 miles.
Well, no, you just burn. You're cooking a hot dog on a stick.
Yeah, delicious.
Is that smoking, or is that cooking hot dog on a stick?
It's cooking with smoke.
What does everybody else think about that? Big Ron, you think it qualifies as smoking?
I mean, technically, yeah. If you're cooking over an open fire, you're gonna be getting that smoke into it. I don't know if I consider that. I don't know if I consider it totally smoking though, the way that smoking works inside of a chamber. But you're still gonna get the smoke flavor to it, like he's saying. I don't know how much I'd like pine. I know you could use that for fish. I don't know. That's a new one on me. It must be a northern thing.
Yeah, no, I don't know that anyone tries to smoke with that wood.
But you got to remember, though, in Texas, everything is hickory. There is no other tree there.
No,
I was surprised.
And we have hickory, oak. We have every tree. We have pine trees as well.
Texas had any trees at all. I just always kind of imagined it was like the Alamo movies, where it's just a desert and like a couple tumbleweeds.
John Wayne always walking around his horse.
You'll have that when you get your history out of the movies.
Pine is horrible to cook food on.
Yeah,
it's not a northern thing. It's horrible.
I don't think that I would smoke and infuse pine smoke into a meat.
From what little research I did when I first started joining you guys with the smoke show. You really only want to smoke with woods that are nut or fruit, because like conifers, like pine, what you guys are talking about, has toxins in the sap that will infuse into the meat, and you do not want that because it could
Hold
make you
on,
sick.
hickory and mesquite, I don't think are nuts or fruit.
And the plot thickens.
Oh, yeah, it's those.
But are
And
they
then
conifers?
it's hardwood is what oak, mesquite, hickory, apple. Some bear fruits, some bear nuts, but all in all, they're all hardwoods. You don't want to smoke with a softwood.
Well,
I
I
have
had to
worked.
step away from it. What did you say? You say sap about it? What's your reason not to smoke with the softwood, Jason?
They just give off. I've cooked a steak over pine before, and it literally ruined the steak. And I don't know why, but I only use hardwoods when I smoke.
Yeah, I've heard that the hardwood smoke work better than softwood.
I think I've always been told, and I've never tried it because I'm not going to ruin a piece of meat to see if what I've been told is correct, because it seems correct, is that the sap in your pines and conifers, the softer woods, is pretty strong, and it'll foul your meat up. And Thonic one wants to take um, your point there, Bruce, that there's no trees in Texas. He's letting you know piney woods in East Texas and lots of pines in Bastrop. The whole east part of Texas is straight growing
Photoshop.
pines.
Photoshopped.
It's hard to Photoshop when I'm just driving around them. So, but that's okay. Yeah, you make an enemy out of me, but you don't want to have an enemy out of Thonic one. I'm just letting you know. That guy there. And Rangebinder says anything with needles is a softwood, anything with leaves is a hardwood. There is a tree down here in the great state of Texas, and it's all over the South. I'm sure they're up there, called a cottonwood. It's a very soft wood that has a broad leaf. But yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah, I think
Conifers
aspen,
and
beech,
needles.
birch are pretty soft too.
I got a question for you, Joe. I hear a lot about post oak, and what can you explain? What is the difference between oak and post oak?
Post oak is one of the harder oaks. It's the name of a tree because it grows relatively straight, and it's very good to make fence posts out of. So I don't know if it's a true name of the tree, something we call regionally. And maybe if you're hearing about it up there, maybe it is the true name of a tree. But oak's a good smoke wood. It's lighter. It's a lighter smoke than you'll get out of hickory or a mesquite. But it's not. I wouldn't turn down oak or post oak. But post oak is a pretty dense wood. Holds up well. The reason they like them for fence post, it holds up well in the ground. Rots very slowly, so the fence will stay up longer. But
So
yeah, you should try it if you get an opportunity.
Up here, when I was growing up, my grandpa grew up on a farm, and we'd go down there, and to heat the house, it was firewood, and oak burns a lot hotter than most. I mean, like really hot, versus the other like maples and other trees that we have up here. But that's the one thing that I do know about oak is that it really burns exceptionally hot.
It does. If any oak that you're going to smoke with, mesquite's kind of the same way. Mesquite burns a little hotter than the other woods, but it smolders very well. So once you get it in and get a flame up and let it smolder down like oak and mesquite, it'll smolder for hours and still produce a decent amount of heat if that's what your primary source of heat is. You don't have charcoal there. It'll produce a decent amount of heat and something that you can regulate. And I think that's another reason why it makes a good smoking wood.
B, you're pretty spot on with what you just said about the mesquite. It does pair very well with red meats. It does with porks also, depending on what you're going for. But your sweeter woods, a lot of the fruits, to be more specific, or even some of the nut woods, go well with your sweeter meats or your lighter colored meats, fishes, porks. things of that nature. So yes, you're very spot on with that comment.
And I agree with Big Ron on that one. What you want to look at is how different meats take smoke better or worse. Really, beef, and we're talking about a brisket. It takes a long time for it to take the smoke, so you can use a mesquite on it, and go for 8 hours or longer, and you're not going to over smoke the meat to where it doesn't taste well. But if you did that to a turkey or a chicken, poultry takes smoke pretty quickly and readily. So you want a lighter smoke wood with those because it's going to take it better. And I think fish is pretty much the same way. But beef is one of your 10, and pork is dense as well. Beef and pork are pretty dense. They can take an oak, a hickory, or a mesquite, and you won't have an overwhelming, overpowering smoke taste in those. But I've done chicken. I can do chicken on mesquite. I just can't leave it on there very long, and it comes out pretty good. But if I'm going to smoke birds or poultry, I actually prefer hickory for that, or I'll even go apple or cherry for those as well. But the one I don't like is pecan. Pecan has a weird aftertaste to me, no matter what I smoke with it, whether it be poultry, beef, pork, whatever. I've used it several times thinking I'd have a different outcome. And surprise enough, it's got the same after bite to it that I don't like.
I think pecan's probably better when you're doing a cold smoke on cheeses, I would think, Joe.
Now, I've never tried it with the cheese. And that's something, too, we need to get that worked up. We're coming up into the fall season. We need to start digging in to see about maybe doing some curing with smoke, how to cure meat with smoke. Sausages, but I mean, you can do, you can cure beef steaks. You can cure them with smoke as well. Helps preserve them, but it also infuses the smoke flavor in there. Bacon, by the way, it's a cold smoke or a preservative smoke. You smoke bacon to preserve it. Just getting the taste is a wonderful treat that comes with it. But cheese, I say all that to say is that cheese is something that we need to look at. Got to do it at low temperatures, and I think that across the country here over the next month or so, we should be getting it about the right temperatures.
I agree with that, Joe. I'm gonna jump on there for B one more time. I smoke a turkey every year for Thanksgiving. B, I do not use mesquite for that specific reason. It's entirely too spicy for that kind of a meat. Hickory, I think, is borderline for it, but I try to do a hickory and then mix a fruitier wood in with it. I find apple works very well for turkey, hickory and apple, and do a nice long smoke on that. I also do an injection with a white wine and herb and butter into the breasts in the thighs of the turkey while I'm doing the smoke, and it comes out very, very good that way. It's not too heavy on the smoke. You get a good ring and a good flavor, and it doesn't make your tongue go numb.
Yeah, I think 8-hour mesquite smoke on a turkey would make your tongue go numb. But there's another thing on a turkey. You don't need to smoke it for 8 hours. You can get some good smoke in that in half that time. If you're using a hickory or mesquite, one of the more stronger smokes with it. But and I've never done the injection. That may be something. Maybe we have to have a Thanksgiving show and everybody do their favorite way to do a turkey.
I live and die by the injection on my turkeys when I do the smoke, along with you're definitely welcome, B, along with my signature sausage and sage stuffing that I do on the smoker also. Smoked stuffing is phenomenal.
Okay, tell us about that.
So I take fresh sage sausage and cook it up, and then we cook up the stuffing. Mix everything together using drippings from the sausage, and then while everything is still moist, goes on the smoker for about a third of the time of the turkey. So you get a nice crust on top of that stuffing, and then when you serve everything up, you've got that nice crusted stuffing with the smoke infused in with the sausage and the sage stuffing. It's phenomenal. You don't even need to put gravy on it. It's so good.
Okay, folks. Big Ron will be doing that closer to Thanksgiving, giving us enough time to copy the recipe and duplicate that for ourselves for our family gathering. Thanks, Ron, for volunteering that. It sounds
hey, anything I do to help, Joe.
Sounds like it's going to be wonderful. It does sound very good. Jason, up north, what do you do for your turkeys? Do you smoke them, or what do y'all do?
Last year I smoked it with an Alabama white sauce. which actually turned out phenomenal. But I spatchcocked it and smoked it that way.
All right. So what is an Alabama white sauce? What kind of territory are we getting in here?
It's a kind of a peppery white sauce. It's hard to. Has anybody in here had Alabama white sauce or heard of it?
Yeah, we have it down here. A lot of the barbecue joints in this area have Alabama white sauce that you can get.
Is it like a peppercorn cream sauce?
Yeah, that's probably a good way to explain it, Joe. It's a peppercorn cream sauce. If anybody's got a Mission barbecue near them, they're not the best barbecue, but they're not the worst. They do have an Alabama sauce that they serve at the restaurant that you can get. It's not too bad.
But as far as cooking it goes, I basically just spatchcocked it, laid it on the grill, and smoked it. I honestly can't remember how long I smoked it for, but it was a longer cook, and then pull it off and pour the sauce over it. Turned out phenomenal.
So you cook the turkey and then you pour this Alabama white sauce or this peppercorn type of sauce. You pour it over the turkey and then serve it, or is it like a side dish like giblet gravy? Everybody puts their own on their own turkey?
No, I poured it right on it and served it with the sauce on the turkey.
Thanks for volunteering to do that close to Thanksgiving too, Jason. That's gonna be great.
I'll do it.
That sounds wonderful, and I'm thinking maybe a cracked peppercorn sauce. But let me do some investigation what this Alabama white sauce is. I'm not familiar with it, but it may be something. I'm interested. That's all I'm going to say. Bruce, what about in Idaho? Y'all just smoke a potato and call it Thanksgiving, or what?
I don't know. I haven't really had a Thanksgiving in Idaho, but normally at other states, just oven is the way I've done it.
Now, Jason mentioned spatchcock. Has anybody done their turkey spatchcock style, where you cut the backbone out and flatten it out?
No.
It's a great way to do a turkey. It'll cut your cook time down a little bit as well.
And Joe, it's actually the breastbone you cut out. No, maybe you're right. No, it's the breastbone.
All right, go through that in your mind again a couple more times, and then we'll discuss it.
All right, my bad.
You're cutting the vertebrae out in the back.
Yeah, you're right. I spoke incorrectly. I'll give you that one.
Just going to know it's recorded. I'll keep this one too. What does B say here? Spatchcock a 50-pound turkey. Yes, you might need a chainsaw to get that one spatchcocked, but a 50-pound turkey. We do want to see that too. That's a big turkey.
That's a world record turkey. That would be about 5 feet tall.
How big? What's the biggest turkey you can buy in the grocery store? Anybody know? I think I've gone for. I don't know what I've bought before. Just it looked big enough, I grab it and go.
I've seen 20s, high 20s, 23, 24 pounds, 25 pounds.
Yeah, I think 23 is the biggest I've ever gotten.
So I hunt turkeys up here, and the biggest turkey I've shot is 23. Most of them in the store, they're going to run around 15 pounds or so.
Yeah, I'm sure there's got to be a limit to how big the turkey can get. Otherwise, it's going to lose what little bit of flight characteristics it already doesn't have.
Hang on, folks. I believe B is saying that she's not saying we should spatchcock a 50-pound turkey. She's saying that she has spatchcocked a 50-pound turkey. With her hand on the Bible, she says this is true.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it.
I want to know how she was able to cut the spine out with her hand on the Bible. That's going to take two hands.
Well, clearly she had an electric knife. But what kind of oven do you need to get a 50-pound turkey? That's a big turkey. I'm gonna have to do some looking on that. Yeah, folks, we will be doing some turkey smoking, some more chicken smoking. We're going to get into some of more finer smoking techniques on smoking cheeses and doing some preserving or cure smoking on some meats as the fall season and winter season comes about. But guys, unless you have anything else, that's all the content that I have for tonight.
I
Anybody
know I'm
have
good. I've
anything
actually
to add?
got an upcoming show. I've got it on the smoker right now, so I need to go attend to that.
Yep,
Oh,
we've had some issues because some of our dishes were coming out of the East Coast, and of course, the hurricane has slowed that down. But Big Ron, much to my surprise, has done the smoked meatloaf. We'll have that on next week. Bruce Wayne's got an interesting take on hamburgers, and we also have Range Minded's smoked tri-tip. We'll have all that next week and get it put together. I do want to let all of our viewers, listeners, and folks know that just for myself, between now and December, it's going to be pretty tight. So I'm doing the best I can to keep the content moving and going. We will have shows and we will have content, but there may be smoke shows that we only have 1 or 2 dishes.
And I just looked. So the turkeys up here usually 30, 40 pounds, but I just
Holy
looked it up,
shit.
and domestic turkeys can get 60 to 80 pounds. So
I guess they don't need flight characteristics.
yeah.
Well, wild turkeys are that big?
Oh yeah.
Are
They're
you eating potatoes?
I don't know, but they'll come up, peck on your window. They're a little intimidating. It's like a gang of turkeys. They want to get let in when it's cold outside.
No, actually, they come to the window when they're mating, and they see their image, and they start fighting themselves. I actually tased a turkey. I think I told you guys that. I did tase a turkey.
No, we've never heard that story.
You've never heard that story, so go ahead.
Oh God,
play it.
I'm gonna get shit for fucking 2 weeks for this one. So there's a family in the city that I work in, and they have this Tom, which is a male turkey, that keeps terrorizing his little kids. The Tom is fighting his image in the back window, and the 2 girls are outside playing basketball. Well, he turns his attention to the girls, and he starts going after the girls. So we get called that there's a turkey attacking these children, and they're mean. I mean, I'm not hunting them. They're not. They don't fuck around. They're mean. But so an officer gets there, and I pull up afterwards, and I see the officer running around the side of the house with this turkey chasing her. And I pull out my taser, and I tase the turkey. And the turkey goes down and starts. It was a residential area, so I couldn't use my gun. So it's like I tased the turkey, and the turkey flops over and starts. The taser worked, and I'm shocked I said that as well.
They always do, don't they, Jason?
Well, when it's in my hands, evidently it does. But once the 5 seconds wore off, the turkey started to fly away, and I kind of went, yeah, no. And I zapped him again because the probe were still in him, and he flopped down again. Needless to say, the turkey never came back, and it was a successful mission. But yeah, I ended up on the news. My chief, tongue-in-cheek, called the local news, and unbeknownst to me, I come back to the police department, and Fox 9 is in the front lobby and wanted to interview me about why I tased a turkey. So that's
Okay.
honestly got true story.
that.
When you take a turkey into custody, do you put handcuffs on the wings or the legs?
There was no custody needed. I tased him, and he flew away after the probes came out.
And I'd have to bill you, Jason. I'm
Why?
kidding. That's an awesome story.
So
tasers,
after the
tasers
use
do work on
of
turkeys, I did it.
hand on the Bible, Jason says. So so after some use of non-lethal force, the turkey complied. So you didn't take the turkey into custody.
Correct. It was just probably saved a life that day. Not gonna lie. I think that I'm kidding. But true story. I did tase a turkey.
Did you talk to Tom's owner about his behavior?
Well, today we'd probably call a social worker in to talk the turkey down. But yeah, no.
Agreed, B.
Damn. B says she's going to the night court police video review. She says she's going to indict you just so she can watch the trial on the turkey tasing. I'm kind of with her on that. I think that would be an interesting trial.
I'd like to hear the turkey side of the story.
Oh, he'll be gobbling and boohooing on the stand about how he's got PTSD now every time he sees a police officer. All right, folks, that's it for the show. We'll have a SpaceX a little bit later. I'm going to grab something to eat. Got a few more chores to do to get ready for the week. But we'll have us a little after party, and we're going to dive a little bit deeper into the turkey tasting, just to be quite honest with you. That's not going to go away. I'm glad you brought that up, Jason.
I didn't think it would.
Yeah, it's not. I might tell you about the skunk with a Gatorade bottle in his head, but it didn't turn out the same way.
Perfect. At least I'm not alone on weird shit.
Oh, I didn't say I did it. This is another story. And I also know a police officer that gave mouth to mouth to a cow that had been struck by a vehicle and brought it back to life. Yeah, that happened. I'll tell you about it in the after party.
Okay. Sounds good.
That was a good story, Joe.
It's a true story. Happened.
I know, you've told me.
All right, folks, that's it for tonight. Thanks everybody for joining. And Jason, I want to give you another 5-star review for what you presented tonight. It's pretty awesome. And as always, your dishes are good. We appreciate your contribution. You've been pretty steady on this when the rest of us have been a little shaky, but we're going to get it together and start giving you a run for your money on some of these. And I want to thank Thonic 1B, Range Minded, all of our regulars for coming in and listening to us banter and put together what we think is a good idea. But with that, we're going to call it a night.
Hello.
No.
And did you ever get any money from Maya Lansky?
I never got money from any of those fellas.
None of those
None
fellas?
of those fellas. None of these that I've been reading about, or none that I knew. They never gave me anything.
None of the machetes?
No. I don't even speak to it. I mean, I met that Charlie once or twice. I don't even talk to him.
You don't like it?
No.
Night Court with Joe Lanou live on X.
Also known as Duck Corella.
I refuse to answer on the grounds of made intent to
You got
criminate.
any business?
I refuse to answer on the grounds of intent to criminate.
You have any profession?
I refuse to answer on the grounds of made
You
intent
have
to
any
criminate.
occupation?
I refuse to answer on the grounds of made intent
Are
to
you a
criminate.
known racketeer?
I refuse to answer on the grounds of made intent to criminate.